We'll watch when Obama gets up. Why was he fantasizing about Kamala teaching Israel? That's literally fantasy baby brain stuff. Not gonna happen. Do you guys not understand? Like, do you think analysis means like I think this is gonna happen? Do you think analysis is the same as prediction? Like when I talk about this sort of stuff, do you just imagine that I'm saying Kamala Harris is going to do this? Obama's message to black men voting for Trump. Part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president and you're coming up with other alternatives and reasons for that. Oh no, that's so bad, dude. Oh, that's such a Hillary take. Even if this is true, you should never say this. First and foremost, it's not a major shift in terms of like black people voting for Donald Trump. Young black men, younger black voters potentially voting for Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. It is a shift, however. And I'll tell you what that shift is. It's because the last time the Democratic Party did something for black people was so far removed from this generation of black voters that they fear they do not have that same party loyalty that older black voters do. It's that simple. The more you move away from the civil rights movement, the more black people are like, okay, well, what the have we done? And it also corresponds to greater trends in terms of less educated male voters in particular. So black men that are non-college educated are still greatly underperforming in their support for the Republican Party over white men who are non-college educated. Okay? But if you're going to single out black men in general, because you have taken black votes for granted for far too long as the Democratic Party, that's the reason. That also proves my point that I make all the time. What have you done for me lately is obviously the major motivator for why people choose not to vote for you. It's very stupid. The entire conversation surrounding this is stupid. But that's it. If you're wondering like what the happened, like the black vote was so firmly committed to the Democratic Party every generation for many decades now, that's the reason. Black people that remember a time when the Democratic Party stood by them are going to forever vote for the Democratic Party. Black people that were so far removed from the last time that the Democrats did something for them are not going to want to vote for it. That's why you've seen a vote. That's why you've seen, at least in prior campaigns, the black vote getting smaller in particular, but not necessarily swinging in the direction of Donald Trump or the direction of the Republican Party. But that's the reason why there is this major generational divide. That's it. If you're wondering, like, what the why are older black men and women overwhelmingly pro-Democratic Party and younger black men, not women, but younger black men are not, it's because young men are not. But specifically, if you want to identify why there's such a disparity within demographics for the black vote that is topsy-turvy in comparison to other age demographics, if you look at younger white men versus older white men, or if you look at any kind of like generational gap, the Democrats are not out competing the Republicans on the older side. So why does that disparity exist? It's because what have you done for me lately? It's a perfectly understandable, perfectly reasonable position. It is at the heart of democracy. This is something that the Democratic Party has completely forgot. And I say the Democratic Party has completely forgot this because I would never say this about the Republicans. The Republicans at least make up issues. They try to prime you into believing that there is like a genuine disparity. They try to get you to vote for them for one reason or another. Democrats just point to the Republicans and go, if you don't vote for us, these guys are going to win and they're assholes. And that might move the needle for a lot of people, but there's a plurality of people out there that it's not moving the needle for demonstrably. And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I got a problem with that, he said. Because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and reasons to do that. That's a really funny take, because that take, you are addressing that take not to the men, not to the men in the margins. You're just saying that for the Netflix executives, dog. You're literally just talking to the MSNBC watchers when you say that. If you wanted to talk to men about this particular issue, you wouldn't don't want to vote for a woman, sweetie. They're going to be like, yeah, I don't. Okay, what now? I hate that. I can't believe he would do the I'm with her scolding, vote scolding, which was objectively a failure in 2016. He said that the women in our lives have been getting our backs this entire time. He said, when we get in trouble, the system isn't working for us. They're the ones out there marching and protesting. And now you're thinking about sitting out or supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable. That's so stupid. That is such an idiotic way to stump. God, this campaign, man, what the are they doing? Just every part of this is busted. Anyway, Harris overtakes Trump among suburban voters. Reuters Ipsos polling shows. We'll see how resilient that support is from the suburbs. I am not so certain. There is I agree with Obama. What? Barack Obama's the right person to say this. I think it's a good wake-up call for some that are on the fence. Well said. Yeah, totally. You're right. No, everybody understands that misogyny plays a significant role in the way that people view a candidate. Okay? Of course it does. Kamala Harris understands that as well. Kamala Harris also understands being black plays a negative role in the way that you're perceived by the broader electorate. That's why she doesn't do the I'm with her shit. This is something that I've repeated time and time again to give her flowers. The issue is, if she recognizes that, she's not, that's the reason why she's not bringing it up, right? You have to now work with what you have. It's no different than blaming the referee at the end of the goddamn game when you got outscored. It's no different than being like, well, the electoral college, the electoral college is the reason why we lost. Like, bitch, you know what the electoral college is. You have to work within the confines. Like, just because it's a shitty structure doesn't mean that you can't work within that structure. You can't not go to Wisconsin and then blame the electoral college. Like, you did that. It wakes up negative numbers of people. If anything, it creates resentment among men who already like to vote for Kamala and makes them go, wait, what is a dog shit politics? Even if it was or is true, it is true. Of course, there's plenty of men, not just black men, but plenty of men that are like, yeah, I don't want no woman with a pussy who's gonna be bleeding, blah, 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 blah. Like, oh, she's emotional. There's hella people like that. Yes, they exist. Of course. Patronizing them is not gonna change anything, though. That's the problem. Every single one of those people, if you were to go and door knock and say, listen, I'm Kamala Harris. Yeah, I got a pussy. Who gives a shit? You are suffering, okay? You want your gas prices to go down? I'm gonna make it happen. You want your grocery prices to go down? I'm gonna make it happen. You want your rent to go down? I'm gonna make it happen. Those people will be like, all right, well, I don't know. Maybe I could vote for her. That's it. But you have to overcome those odds. And in order to overcome those odds, you have to work. You have to address their needs. Where is the Obama? Maybe you are unable to see past some of the more misogynistic tendencies. Have you considered that you might just have internalized misogyny? First of all, I'm not a woman, so I just have regular misogyny. Okay. Oh, you're trolling. Okay.
Because so far, Justin Fields is doing pretty good. Now, before we get started, we have a little bit of work to do here. All right, so I want everybody to be, just settle in. We got some work to do. Before we get started, I did want to say that we are, heartbroken about the loss of life in Florida, North Carolina, states across the Southwest. We are thinking about people, families whose lives have been upended by the storms over the last couple of weeks. I could not be more grateful for the first
Josh
responders
Shapiro's back
and FEMA professionals who have put themselves in harm's way to try and help.
And better than ever.
It's times like this when you realize having honest, competent leadership in government really matters. It makes a difference. And today I'm asking you to vote for some of those leaders, including some folks we need working with your outstanding governor, who you just heard from, Governor Josh Shapiro. We need them in Harrisburg. So we need you to vote for your next Auditor General, Malcolm Kenyatta. Your next Attorney General, Eugene DePascale. Your next State Treasurer, Eric McClellan. And my buddy, your outstanding United States Senator, Bob Casey.
Dude, even Obama is like kind of lacking motion right now. It's a little bit shocking.
Now, here in Pennsylvania, there are 3 ways to vote. You can vote early, in person, at the county election office or at a satellite office. You can also vote by mail. And if you need to figure out how to do that, just go to iwillvote.com PA to find a place to vote early or to request a ballot. And of course, you can vote at your polling place on Election Day, November 5th. But if you're at this rally, let's face it, you're probably voting unless you are 12. So you also have to help your friends and family make a plan to vote. And even if you're 12, you can do that. Talk to your mom and dad and aunts and uncles, because together we have a chance to choose a new generation of leadership in this country and start building a better and stronger and fairer and more hopeful America. Now, you've already heard tonight, this election's going to be tight, because there are a lot of Americans who are still struggling out there. They're still striving to make life better for themselves, for their families, and for their kids. And let's face it, as a country, we've been through a lot these last few years. We had a historic pandemic wreaking havoc on communities and businesses. Disruptions from the pandemic then caused prices to spike, and that put a strain on family budgets. And in many ways, it's felt like the aspirations of working people have taken a back seat to the priorities of the rich and the powerful. So I get it, why people are looking to shake things up. I mean, I am the hopey-changey guy. So I understand people feeling frustrated and feeling we can do better. What I cannot understand is why anybody would think that Donald Trump will shake things up in a way that is good for you, Pennsylvania. I don't understand that. Because there is absolutely no evidence that this man thinks about anybody but himself. I've said it before. Donald Trump is a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. You've got the tweets in all caps, the ranting and the raving about crazy conspiracy theories. You got the 2-hour speeches, word salad, just, it's like Fidel Castro, just on and on. Constant attempts to sell you stuff. Who does that? Selling you gold sneakers and a $100,000 watch and most recently a Trump Bible. He wants you to buy the Word of God, Donald Trump edition. Got his name right there next to Matthew and Luke. I mean, you could not make this stuff up. If you saw it on Saturday Night Live, you'd say, well, no, that's going too far. No, he's doing that. It's crazy. And the reason he does it is because all he cares about is his ego and his money and his status. He's not thinking about you. Donald Trump sees power as nothing more than a means to an end. He wants the middle class to pay the price for another huge tax cut that would mostly help him and his country club buddies. Doesn't care if he costs more women their reproductive freedoms because it won't make a difference in his life. Do not boo. Vote.
Damn, bro. Dude, what the this man will be able to motivate this entire crowd of people to go and storm the Capitol, you know? And there is definitely a vibes drop off, in my opinion. Like, this is desperado. Turns out having everyone of note be over the age of 60 has some consequences. Don't boo, vote. He's like, Trump doesn't care about you. Here come every single person that is surrounded by like 60-year-olds telling me, no, they actually love this shit. Okay, well, I'm not 60. I'm not watching this shit. It sucks. All right. Where's AOC? That's another interesting indication that like they are absolutely moving in that direction, where like AOC should be stumping too, at least in places where there's like young Hispanic voters, young voters in general. She is still relatively charismatic, but North Carolina lost a mind-numbing 325,000 manufacturing jobs thanks to NAFTA and China WTO, largely in rural counties. The textile, clothing, and furniture industries all died. Now Harris is sending Bill Clinton, Mr. NAFTA, the rural North Carolina campaign for her. You can roll your eyes at Harris courting GOPers by campaigning with Liz Cheney, but tapping Clinton as a rural voter whisperer in the part of the country arguably worse hit by his free trade agenda is lunacy. I'm not that into overreacting that every little move the campaign makes to court a swing voter. Whatever, it's October of election year. You love Republicans now, them's the breaks. But this one shocks me and makes me think actually they have no idea what they're doing. I think that they do know what they're doing, but what they're doing is at odds with what you would expect a competent party to do. They're sending Clinton out there for like older Republican voters, business owners, things like that don't give a fuck about NAFTA, because they've already written out every single disaffected, disenfranchised white voter. They are just straight up. Look, their method is clear. If you watch their movements in this otherwise truncated campaign, in such a short period of time, they have been laser focused on trying to win any Republican vote, any suburban white vote that they possibly can that is not in any way, shape, or form related to labor. Like people that have generationally not been in the working class for extended periods of time. They're looking for Republicans. They're firmly committed to trying to get business owners on board. I think that's what it is. And this is probably a more successful method than, bringing Liz Cheney or Dick Cheney up ever in that regard. It's all of the old leadership that you used to like when you were younger. They all like me, as opposed to the new leadership that you might feel some type of way about. Donald Trump. That's it. Who would have thought that a candidate who didn't need to win an open primary would be so politically inept? It doesn't matter. Like her not winning an open primary doesn't matter if she's like surrounded by at least somewhat competent people, but she's not. She's surrounded by the people that actually won the last primary and the last general election, Biden's team. They're just running the Biden method here. And as a black woman, I think it's hard for her to win the Biden voters by numbers that will push her across the finish line and defeat Donald Trump. With Democrats morphing into the new Republican Party, can we expect the true left party to rise in instead? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I think we're just going to have complete right-wing fascist dominance coming in the future. I don't think there's going to be not even Republicans still like the Bush administration because of Iraq. Exactly. She's run further to the right than Biden did. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Biden in 2020 is literally a dream at this point. Are you kidding me? Pro-immigrant, pro-immigration. I'm going to restore a pathway to citizenship. I'm going to fix DACA. I'm going to shut down the concentration camps for kids. You fucking kidding me? That was Brandon. A lot of people forgot. Brandon said, first 100 days, Jack, put it on my table. I'm signing it into law. We're doing a pathway to citizenship. That's what he said. Brandon also was Mr. Public Option. Weirdly enough, that was just a counter, a very successful way to just quiet down everybody talking about Medicare for all. Yeah, Politico is still, here's what Harris must do to seal the deal. Be more moderate. She's committed to a bipartisan government. Dude, here's what Harris needs to do to seal the deal. Drop out of the race and let Liz Cheney run, right? That way you show your true commitment to bipartisanship. Because remember, she has a bipartisan border policy, right? Well, guess what? It's not a bipartisan border policy. It was written by one of the most conservative Republicans in Senate from Oklahoma, and features nothing that liberals normally would demand out of this regular push and pull that they do on immigration. And what's more bipartisan than letting Mitt Romney run? Drop out and let Mitt Romney run. After all, Trump is the gravest threat to American democracy. It's really fucked up. Aaron Sorkin vindication? Oh, for sure. For sure. We need a Romney-Cheney ticket. Mitt Romney needs to be at the top of the ticket. And Dick or Liz Cheney, it. Make Dick Cheney VP again, dude. That's what I'm saying. I get the sense our only hope is getting more progressive seats in power. Otherwise, it seems like it's going to be an endless capitulation of the right-wing demands on the Dem side and accelerated fascism in the GOP. Feels really hopeless and scary as a person of multiple marginalized communities. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Except AIPAC already cooked 2 seats. That was cool. Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, let's listen to Donald Trump. I want to hear Donald Trump on Andrew Schultz.